Good morning, folks. Welcome to sunny California. We are at the tail end of our California trip out here at my friend's house. He's got a lot of tractors. He's got a tractor business here. We're going to go through some of his tractors today and see some of his old irons. So stick around. Hey folks, it's my friend Matt.
Howdy.
He's we went to high school together. We've been friends for what now, 40 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. He's about the only one I've stayed in constant contact from with high school because we have the same interests. We were in the ag shop together in high school and built a lot of stuff through the ag program. We had a fantastic ag program at our high school. But Matt has continued on with the stuff that we were interested in, being a mechanic and doing farm power stuff, and worked on forklifts for years. He's a mechanic I never was. I am not a mechanic. I tell you guys all the time, but this man here is a mechanic. But Matt's got some old tractors here at his place. He has his own tractor repair business here at his place. And we're going to look at some of his projects he's got going on and look at some of the old iron he has around the ranch here. So let's get started.
Okay.
So Matt's working on this project right now. This isn't one of his paying projects. This is a hobby project here because it's a little bit after the weekend here. What are these rims off of, Matt?
They go to a 1948 John Deere A.
John Deere A. That's the project he's working on here in the shop. He's getting these wheels all cleaned up, ready to paint. He puts like an automotive quality paint on these things. So let's go inside the shop here and we'll see how the progress is going. This tractor's been in here for years. I remember it sitting here years ago, but now he's got it started going on it now. He's got the paint going on this thing. Total, complete off-frame repair. You had this thing split too, didn't you?
That was in several pieces.
Yeah, he's done all the inner workings already, and now things are starting to come back together. He's getting the paint on it. The motor's a runner, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's already going. He's got the wheel centers here that he's also working on. He's going to paint these and the rims today. And then you already got the tires and everything for this?
Yeah, the tires are out on the side.
Sweet. Now this is one of his paying projects over here. He's got a Massey Ferguson that he's working on for somebody. What's wrong with this thing?
Engine problems.
Engine. Ooh, yeah, there's engine problems. He's got the heads off and everything. So we want to look at some of your old iron that you got out here. Let's go.
Out here.
All right, Matt, what's this tractor here?
It's early to mid 50s Case DC. It's a project tractor. It's complete. It looks pretty bad right now, but it is a project tractor.
You have the sheet metal and everything for it?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
And then back here we got a Farmall what?
That's a Farmall A.
Farmall
Super
A. Super A, okay.
With an original International Harvester belly mower.
Oh. And then that's that's a project tractor also?
Yep.
And it runs?
And it runs.
Now,
Ran when parked.
is that lower than a normal one, or is it's got shorter tires?
It's got tires are almost flat.
Okay. It looks, I thought it'd be sitting a little bit lower than normal.
Yeah, the tires are down on it.
And you got more parts out here.
Now this is a late 30s Farmall H. That is a paying job. The fella brought it to me on all these pallets. The engine has been done, but it's been not covered up, so it will have to be tore down and cleaned and reassembled.
So all of these pallets are a tractor.
This is a tractor.
So this is all eventually going to be cleaned up.
One rolling tractor.
And go back together. It's got the steel wheels.
Steel wheels.
Wow, that's going to be quite a project there.
Yep.
Look at that fuel tank there.
Yeah, that fuel tank is toast.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be Steiner for another one of those, huh?
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, believe it or not, these pallets are going to be a complete tractor one day. Yep. That's pretty crazy. All right, we got some crawlers over here we're going to look at. All right, our first crawler here is a T6. And the reason they call it a T6 and not a TD6 like most of you have heard is this is a gas engine. My dad had a TD6 that we restored that had a diesel engine that started on gas, and then you'd switch it over to diesel to get it to fire. You're not sure what year this is, Matt?
No.
And then what's your other crawler here?
It's a 53 Alice Chalmers M crawler.
53 Alice Chalmers M. Looks like a propane unit because it's got the tank.
Back in the day, it was a butane, not propane.
Oh, butane. Now, is this going to be a project?
No, I'd like to give that to a 4-H or FFA club
Oh, okay.
for a club project.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Now, did this usually have the fenders that come all the way over? I see this flange here.
It did, but they got cut off at some point in time. That tractor used to pull a potato digger.
Oh, it looks like those fenders could be remanufactured fairly
Yeah,
easily.
just flat steel.
That's a neat old crawler there. All right, we got an old Oliver here. I remember that was your grandpa's favorite brand, wasn't it? Was Oliver?
Well, he owned a Super 55, which I still have in the garage.
We'll go look at it here in a little bit. What's the story behind this tractor? Where did it come
Came
from?
from Missouri, off of a family farm, and the neighbor had it. It was from his family, and he did not want it anymore, so
How did it get here to California?
the family brought it out here.
Huh. To you?
No, it came to the family member that lives here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is this, now you own this one, or
This
is there?
is mine. No, it's mine.
Oh, okay. So this is going to be a project tractor maybe someday?
It could be for sale too for
Is
the right person.
Is it a runner now?
It ran when parked.
Ran when parked, never been on gravel. Now this, Farmall,
H, early 50s, I believe. I have not researched the date.
early 50s Farmall H. It looks like it could be a runner if it's not.
Now the engine's stuck.
Oh,
and
it's
a
stuck.
parts tractor.
Parts tractor.
This is probably, I'm going to say, looking at reminding myself of the brakes. This is band brakes, so this could be as old as early 40s.
Very nice. Now back behind it is my old barbecue that I didn't take to Nebraska. I built that right out of high school. It has a grill box on the back and then a big smoker on the front. I miss that barbecue. Now here we got a Farmall Super C. What's the story on this one here, Matt?
It was given to me.
Free 99.
Yeah. He was moving to Idaho and couldn't take everything with him.
Oh wow. Is it a runner?
Yes, it runs.
It's a runner. What's your plans on this one here?
Really no plans yet. Let's see if it'll start.
Ooh, got a battery in it and everything. I'll be darned. That's pretty sharp. Purrs like a kitten. Them old tractors just want to run. Now here is a Ferguson TO35. Matt says the plate on it is gone, so he doesn't know the serial number or the date of manufacture. But these old Ferguson tractors, you can probably notice they resemble a Ford, like 8N, 9N type tractor, and that's probably because back then that Ferguson and Ford were kind of involved with each other. And then Ferguson had the 3-point system in the back, and Ford kind of ripped off the 3-point system when they built the 8N, 9N tractors. There was a big hubbub lawsuit over that because old man Ford had a handshake agreement with Ferguson, and then old man Ford died, and the younger crowd kind of stole the 3-point system. So neat old tractors. I had one myself before I moved to Nebraska. They just run and run and run. Got another tractor here out back. What is this one, Matt?
McCormick OS6.
McCormick OS6.
Orchard Standard 6.
Orchard Standard, that's the OS.
Yep.
I love how the seat's way back here behind the fenders.
This is an M Farmall in a standard version.
Oh, wow. So, where did McCormick come in with Farmall? Everybody
I don't know the dates.
Everybody associates Farmall with IH, but there was some tie with McCormick back in the day.
Predecessor.
So McCormick was before IH.
Yep.
Look how narrow the station is here, because you get on this tractor from the back. They got little foot pads down here to put your feet on. Neat little thing. It's probably narrow to get through the orchard, so you're not tearing limbs off.
And it's low stature too.
Yeah, low slung tractor here. Looks like the sheet metal gone off the front.
It's over behind the shop.
Oh, he does have the sheet metal.
It's a parts tractor.
Neat old tractor. I recognize this little trailer from high school too. Didn't you put this together back in high school to pull behind the quad?
I suppose, not sure. It's a long time ago.
Pretty neat size. You can haul a quad on it and pull it with a quad or three-wheeler or whatever. Pretty cool. So we got these three tractors here. What's this first one?
It's a 1953 Case SC.
1953 Case SC. We drove these not too long ago. What'd you have them in town for? Was it a tractor show or something?
Yeah, a little tractor show.
Here, just a few miles here in town. We drove these back on the canal bank over here, I remember. Now, Farmall H.
It's about a 39 model.
39 Farmall H.
And it runs.
Another runner. And a Farmall M. This is everybody's most popular Farmall here.
Yeah, that's a 39 as well, I believe.
Everybody loves Farmall M's, and a lot of people are looking for them.
This could be a little later model, but I'd have to look up
Yeah.
serial number to remind myself.
They look, if you think of what a tractor should look like, a Farmall M looks like a tractor. I've always loved the look of them. Now, any of these tractors you're willing to part with, if somebody's local and wants to come give you a pocket full of money for one?
Of these three, no. But there's a couple around here that I could part with.
Yeah, so they can get a hold of me if they're interested in any of them, and I
They
can
get a hold of you in the comments, and we can talk that way.
Sweet. All right, we're here in the garage where Matt's got his special tractors in here out of the weather. So what are we looking at here?
1948 McCormick Deering OS6.
So it's the same as the one out in the yard with the parts tractor.
Correct.
So what's the story on this tractor here?
Well, it's the tractor my granddad had. He farmed open ground with it, pulled a plow, disc, even had a homemade shaker that went on the front of it for shaking walnut trees.
Oh, wow.
I spent a lot of time riding on the fender of this when I was a child.
That's so cool. Did he buy this brand new, or was it like secondhand?
No, it was secondhand to him.
And what year did you say this was?
1948.
1948. So what year is the one you had out in the yard out there?
It's a 1948 as well.
Oh, so good part tractor, same year and everything.
Yeah.
Now this one here, this one's a special one too. This was your grandpa's tractor, right?
Yep, tractor I learned to drive on. 1955 model, Super 55.
Wow, not many of us have the opportunity to have the tractor that we learned to drive on. That's amazing. So I remember you were using this out in the garden.
Yes, it's still a runner.
We planted corn with this thing one year and beans too, I think.
Yep.
That's sweet.
Used a two model 71 John Deere plate seeders.
And this is obviously a gas engine in this thing.
Hercules gas.
Hercules gas. That's super cool. Do you plan on restoring, or are you just leaving this thing original?
I think at this point it will be left in its natural patina.
I agree. I think restoring this would do a disservice to this tractor.
It's mechanically sound,
Yeah.
other than needing a clutch. But
Yeah.
it's wear items.
But it's in here out of the weather, and it'll last a good long time.
Yep.
That's awesome. He's got some yard art he's putting together out here working on. This is an old, like, expandable cultivator.
Yep.
Was this like a pull behind a horse cultivator?
Horse drawn.
Horse drawn, and then
Walk behind.
this is some kind of old spreader.
Broadcast seeder.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Seen its better day.
Probably had metal wheels on it back in the day.
Probably so.
Got
It could have. I'm not sure of that.
two of the thrower discs there underneath.
Spinners.
Cool deal. What years? He said this is the next project here once that John Deere's out of the shop.
Early 50s Cub.
And then all the parts are here for it.
Yeah. The engine's done in the shop.
So he's got the engine done. Are you doing anything to the tranny on this?
It'll be a complete disassemble.
Oh, wow.
Sandblast, clean, inspect, paint, reassemble.
You can see his parts yard out here. He's got lots of stuff for different equipment. He's got some BG pumps out here, some fenders, and just about anything you need. This looks like stuff off the Cub over here.
This is Cub stuff on that pallet.
Cub parts.
Yep. And the Cub front end is right there behind the pallet.
Oh, yeah. Now this pickup here.
Don't tell any stories on that pickup.
I'm not going to tell the stories, but this is the pickup Matt drove right after high school, Toyota 4-wheel drive. We've been so many places in this old pickup, and he's held on to it. He built the custom bumper in the front back in the day when we were doing that kind of stuff. But I hope to someday see this pickup back on the road. That would do my heart good. So this is an old plow that Matt has back here in the back. Tell us about this plow, Matt.
This is an International Harvester rollover plow. You can plow in the same furrow, both directions. You come to the end of the row, you trip it, and it'll roll over, and then you turn around and come back in the furrow.
So the plow that I'm used to, you could only plow one direction, and you had to deadhead back the other end of the field or plow different directions on the field.
Plowing lands.
So this one, you can just turn around and go right back in the same furrow with the plows going the other direction. That's super sweet. And then this, I recognize this old buck saw here. Old belt driven. These used to mount on the front of the tractors, didn't they, Matt?
Several different ways. This one's PTO driven. You could run it off a belt pulley. In the old days, that's how they were mostly ran, was belt pulley. Either mounted, rigid mounted to the tractor, or stationary planted next to your wood pile.
You'd put your log in this tray here, and then this tray would move forward. I don't know if this one still does, but
it used to. This
whole thing moves, and you just cut with that big old saw blade. You could move a lot of wood with this thing. This is an old carryall that Matt built in high school. 3-point. You'd have wood, like a wood deck or 2x4s on there. You could carry stuff around. This is an old A-frame that Matt had let me borrow when I had a place over nearby, and I set it up to do 30-inch rows. I would make furrows for my corn. It worked really well. And then a couple spring tooth here, one big one and one small one, working up lighter weight, loose dirt. He's got a 2-row planter of some sort back here.
Bean planter.
Bean planter?
Yep.
Very cool. Looks like he's got a trip bucket here.
That's just a regular, it's just a scraper, rollover scraper.
Rollover scraper. I think we call them trip buckets. And then these are brush rakes. Is that a 3-point brush rake?
No, that is a loader front end mounted brush rake.
Back in the day, we all had to use 3-point brush rakes because not everybody had a loader back in the day. And you had to turn around and drive backwards through the field to pick up your brush. Because when they prune the almond fields, they throw all the prunings in the middle. And then you go through with one of these brush rakes and pick up your prunings and take them to the burn pile. But that was a pain in the neck, literally, back in the day with that 3-point stuff. The front loader ones were so much nicer when they started making those. This looks like just an old spring tooth, huh? Older model.
They call that a John Deere CC cultivator.
CC cultivator. Now you would cultivate in between rows. It looks like it's pretty narrow.
It's more like a spring tooth.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, your offset teeth, it didn't look like you could get a plant through there.
That was their trade name, CC cultivator.
CC cultivator. And then we call these just a ridger. All it does is throw up a ridge in your field when you're irrigating a big, tall ridge.
Some people might call it a hiller.
Hiller, yeah. Just two big old disc blades with a 3-point hookup. Love this old manure spreader. You still use this to scatter your lawn clippings?
Occasionally.
These are neat.
Sheep manure from the other barn.
I had rebuilt one of these when I lived in town. I sold it to a buddy of mine before I moved. But they're all driven by the tires. Some of the newer models had a PTO drive to run everything, but all these were driven by the tires through a gearbox. Ground driven. Got the chain drive in the bottom that would move all your material to the back, and then your beaters would throw everything out in the field.
The floor chain's called a draper.
A draper chain. Had the roller chain ends on, and they would weld pieces between them. But the business end of these things is pretty gnarly. This thing breaks up all your manure because it's usually in big clods, and then these wings here scatter it out all over the field. Pretty neat setup. The one I rebuilt worked great. We used to spread stuff in the garden with it, but you can see all the drive mechanism over here, and you can take it out of gear by these two big levers up here. One of them controlled the beaters and one controlled the floor, right, Matt? And it was set up to where you could reach these from the tractor seat most of the time if they were set up right. These things would swivel down to where you would be closer to the tractor.
One controls the speed of the draper chain, the amount of travel it takes every time the gearbox trips.
Yeah. And then the other one turns on the beaters in the back?
Yes.
Cool. And then they had their own little foot peg thing down here too, if they were parked a certain way, that had a drop down deal that kept it off the ground.
Yeah, I don't know much about that.
Yeah, mine had one. This one appears to be like it's almost upside down. I'm not sure, but mine had a leg that would fold down when you were parked to keep the tongue off the ground. Now here we got a two bottom trip plow or pull behind plow. And with these, unlike a 3-point, you can't lift them up, but you had the two levers where when you got to the end of the row, you could push the lever down, which would send the wheels under, which in turn would pull the plows out of the ground.
Actually, it has a lever here on the gearbox that you would pull, and that would trip the gearbox and raise the wheels.
Oh,
just
the forward motion would raise the wheels.
Yes.
Gotcha. So the levers were more for adjustment.
Yes.
Okay. And then this one here is just a pull behind plow, right? You just dumped it wherever you were at the end of the field.
This is just a little disc that
used
to be horse drawn.
Yeah. But you can't pick this up and
nope.
There's no wheels or anything on it.
In order to stop plowing with it, you would have to pull the lever, and the tongue slides through and brings the blades back straight. Right now it's in cutting mode.
So they just roll when they're back straight.
Correct.
Gotcha. Pretty slick. So this tongue would pull through, which would pull the gangs this way.
Yes. And pull the gangs back straight.
So instead of cutting, they would just roll.
Be straight, yeah.
Sweet. And then we have a 4-bottom plow here. It works same as the 2-bottom plow over there.
Yeah. I believe this is a case, but not 100% certain.
A case. Still pretty intact. You said this one was going to scrap, and you saved it.
Saved it, yep.
He got somebody to bring it to his place here instead of going to the scrap yard, which is, you never want to see stuff like this go to scrap. Now here's another rollover plow. You can see a little bit better because we're not in the weeds. Some yard art here at the end of the yard. Here's your ones down here, and they flip around, turn the other direction. Pretty slick.
As you're turning soil this way, you come out to the end and trip it
with a rope.
The force of the forward motion will roll those moldboards out of the soil, and the framework will catch and bring it on around.
And then it'll lock
direction.
It'll lock again.
Change direction of your plow, your moldboards, and there you turn around and go right back in the furrow.
Sweet. Saves a lot of time. Don't have to deadhead back. Papa's tractor rides down at the barn. This here thing, if you've never seen one, is an almond sweeper. We call them almonds, but it's got a sweeper head on the front and a blower on the back. Back when I was farming with almonds, we didn't have this fancy cab. We were out in the open air, but You can see Matt's almond orchard out here. These are what almond trees look like, and there's big rows, and they shake the almonds down and you sweep them to the middle, and Matt's got a pickup machine that picks them up. It's a pretty neat operation. Now this is still a working tractor here on the farm, Massey Ferguson 491. I used to run buggies for Matt in almond season with this tractor. Now, International, what's this?
606.
This was your dad's old tractor, if I remember?
My dad bought that when we started farming out here.
Yeah, I remember driving this one as well. Got the rototiller on the back. Matt just rototilled up his garden the other day. Now I know this tractor. I bought this tractor in Vacaville, California. Matt and my buddy Steve went up with me to pick it up. And it's a Farmall Super A Cultivision tractor. It had a cultivator on the belly down here. Neat little old tractor. Matt had this thing running within about 5 minutes of getting it back here. But it was a cool old tractor. But I never had room to park this thing anywhere because I lived in town after I got married. So Matt had it out here, and then I sold it to Matt's dad at one point. But neat old tractor, still runs probably. Now this is an orchard sprayer that Matt's working on to spray the trees in the orchard. Ran these many a day. You've got the control arm lever thing that goes up to your tractor, mounts on the fender, so you can control the throttle and the spray amounts. The spray is split into two sides, so if you only need one side, you can turn the other side off. There's a big standalone motor in here. A lot of them now are PTO driven with a pump, but this has its own motor, and it's got a tank here. What, 500 gallons, Matt?
That's 500 gallons.
Yeah, they're usually around 500 gallons, and you mix your spray, fill it from the top, and here's like a big filter apparatus down here in the bottom. But you mix your spray in the spray tank, it circulates, and then he's got some of the shielding off here because he's working on it. But there'll be a big, huge fan here in the back blowing air out towards the trees. And then these nozzles carry the spray material and put it into that fan of air going up. And it sprays clear out over the top of the trees. Here's the fan off the back, turns at a lot of RPMs. Same RPMs as the motor, so about 3,000 RPMs probably, and blows that air out. Sucks it in through the middle, blows it out the sides. Here's Matt's garden plot here. He just got it worked up the other day. Now he can connect to the orchard irrigation to where this thing will water when the orchard waters. Or he can also hook it to a faucet, which we call hydrant out in Nebraska, and water it that way as well. You run it off a drip tape or drip line? Or drip tape, all drip tape. It's a big old garden going in here. Got all the fruit trees in bloom here in California. This is a nectarine here.
Late season nectarine.
Can't wait till our fruit trees are this big and producing. And then this is a Fay Alberta peach here.
Freestone.
Freestone. And this tree here is a pluot, dapple dandy pluot. These were my favorite pluots. These things will hang on the tree for like 2 months. I would come over here and just stand here in this tree and eat pluot after pluot. They're so good. And then I believe this is a multi-variety apple, right?
Correct. Fuji, Granny Smith.
And what was this over here? I forgot.
Multi-variety nectarine, plum, and it used to have a peach until it got pruned off.
Nectarine, plum, and a peach. All right, that's the tour of Homie's Old Iron. We really enjoy the hospitality when we come to California. He always lets it stay here at his place. Now, tractor repair isn't the only thing he does. He does custom sweeping in the almonds. He does custom harvesting in the almonds. Do you do any tractor work too, or just the sweeping?
Occasionally, yes.
Yeah. So he's out for hire if you're in Central California in his area and you need some work done. He always happy to come do some work for you. So love you, homie. We look forward to you coming out. He wants to come out for the Red Power Roundup. I think it's in Iowa this year.
Iowa.
Spencer, Iowa.
June.
So I think Matt's going to come out for the Red Power Roundup. We hope he makes it because we'll have a good time.
I hope so too.
Till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here at Markelly Farm.